Ladies and gentlemen of the interwebs, you are looking at Doug Ford, the Premier of Ontario, Canada. America's hat. There's another word for Canadians which is not quite so politically correct that I will not say right now. I will avoid the obvious jokes that one can make at the expense of Doug Ford. Suffice only to call him a raging buffoon who is destroying his province and in part Canada. Behold. Once I press play.
I have a tremendous amount of asylum seekers that are up in Etobicoke and in the hotels. They're healthy, they're willing to work, they're hardworking people, but they're waiting over 2 years. And they're just sucking off the system nonstop, not their fault. The fault falls under immigration, that it takes over 2 years to get a work permit. So as we're paying education, paying healthcare, paying the rent in hotels, which is exorbitant, they want to get out there and they want to be like every other Canadian. They want to find a job. They want to be able to first start off renting a condo or part of a house and then buying a house. But we're tired of waiting around. I can't wait around. It's costing our province an absolute fortune. Just last year, we were close to 100,000 asylum seekers, and I'm still waiting to get paid back from the federal government. That's one issue. But there's jobs available in Ontario, and we need to give them work permits and make sure that they're out there working and contributing back to society. I'm not waiting any longer. We're issuing work permits in Ontario for these folks to give back and contribute to society in Ontario.
I hate to be juvenile. Did he say sucking off the system? It seems that that's what Doug Ford might be doing. I've got to flesh this out element by element. Just so you know, this was not originally intended to be the starting video for today's show, but my man up in Canada sent this to me, and I'm like, holy shit. Whether or not this man is a globalist pig, he sure as sugar is acting like one. You know what the unemployment rate in Ontario is? It's about 7%. I'm rounding up. It's 6.9%. You know what problems there are in Canada right now? Housing crisis, healthcare crisis, fentanyl crisis, unemployment, and this buffoon of a jackass is prioritizing people who are not Canadian, arguably should not be in Canada, and incorporating them. They're healthy. They're healthy, able. Hey, does Ontario need more cheap labor? Is this another modern day slavery that Doug Ford is ushering into Canada? Let me play this again.
I have a tremendous amount of asylum seekers that are up in Etobicoke and in the hotels. They're healthy. They're willing to work.
They're healthy. They're willing to work. I swear to you, I've seen movie scenes where they look at people and say, yep, this one's healthy enough to work. Now sitting up in the field so they can go collect our vegetables so that we can, go out to fancy restaurants and not have to pay too much for dinner. They're healthy and they're ready to work. Are we talking about humans or are we talking about slaves, Doug Ford?
They're hardworking people, but
they're a hardworking people. What the hell does that mean? Who do you represent, you jackass? Do you represent Ontarians, Ontarioites? Do you represent people of Ontario, or do you represent asylum seekers from abroad?
Waiting over 2 years, and they're just sucking off the system.
I'll keep going now.
Non-stop, not their fault.
They're sucking off the system non-stop. It's not their fault. I'm sorry, Doug. It seems that your linguistic capabilities are about as good as your economic capabilities.
The fault falls under immigration, that it takes over 2 years to get a work permit. So as we're paying...
Why would you be issuing work permits when Ontario unemployment rate, when the Ontario unemployment rate is 6.9%? Let me see this here. Let's just go Ontario housing crisis. Let's just do all of this. That's really quite terrible. Ontario housing crisis. I know it's AI, but you'll take it. Ontario is grappling with a severe housing affordability crisis impacting both renters and homeowners. Here are some likely statistics highlighting the crisis. 22% of Canadians, including those in Ontario, spend 30% or more of their income on shelter. Yeah, you better go integrate hundreds of thousands of asylum seekers. Make sure that they get homes and rental properties and whatever, rent part of a home in order to buy it. When Canadians who you represent, you were elected to represent them, Doug Ford, you buffoon, are struggling to not just survive, but literally live in Canada, waiting years to get a doctor, dying in the ER rooms, dying waiting for general practitioners, living in the streets. You know why there's a lot of people now in their golden years who are being forced out onto the streets and then forced to live in mobile container homes? Because the cost of living is out of control. Oh, and he's waiting to get paid back from the federal government. Whose effing money do you think you're doing that with, Doug? I love it. It's like it's his money to blow, and it's the Fed's money to reimburse him. And he's like, how do the Feds not reimburse me? Where the hell do you think they get that money from? Go tax Canadians a little more. The most taxed people on earth, the most propagandized people on earth, led by the most buffoon, idiot jackasses on earth. The jokes I could make about Doug Ford that I won't, because I'm a polite, nice Canadian. People like me belong in places where good people go. It's obscene. And I keep seeing these tweets coming out of Canada. It's morbidly depressing. It is as though you are being governed by people who have said, yep, we are sacrificing Canadians to the world. We no longer represent Canada and Canadians. We represent asylum seekers to the detriment of Canadians. We no longer have to solve the problems that we've already created. We're just going to usher in more problems. They're healthy. They've got, look at their hands. Their hands are ready to work. So that's what's going on in Canada, peeps. And it's bad and getting worse. Good afternoon, everybody. How goes the battle? Viva Fry, former Montreal litigator turned current Florida rumbler. In the free state of Florida, let me just do one thing here before we go. I was going to start with some other good stuff, which we're going to get into. And we shall. But first, I had to get that out of the way. Canada, you're run by globalists. You've ushered in Mark J. Carney, given the Liberals more seats than they had after 10 years of devastation. You have that buffoon jackass of a Doug Ford, Ford Nation, Progressive Conservative Party. That's what they call themselves. It's sort of like Jumbo Shrimp, Flat Mountain, Pregnant Virgin, which has only happened once in the history of humankind. Progressive conservatives, also known as regressive conservatives, also known as liberals, not even driving the speed limit anymore, just liberals in disguise. Dishonest liberals is what progressive conservatives are in Ontario. Shame on you, Doug Ford. Yeah, speaking of the cost of living, I'll get to our sponsor of the day, people.